with us now Behnam Ben Taleblu. He is the Iran Program Senior Director at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Welcome back. I appreciated our last conversation. I learned so much more as we talk about this important issue. Going into this weekend, what is your assessment of the major sticking points in these negotiations?
Well, it's great to be back with you, Marnie. It looks like there's a round two, and that round two is in Rome. The biggest sticking point is the framework, and particularly the framework of dismantlement. If the Islamic Republic basically has to junk or shut down its nuclear infrastructure, or if it's a pause or kicking the can down the road, much like the 2013 and 2015 Obama-era interim and final deals known as the JPOA and JCPOA. Whatever framework the U.S. brings to bear will determine a great deal if Iran will stay at the negotiating table, if they'll push back, if they think they have escalation or even exit options from talks. We're waiting to see what framework Washington brings to the table.
So you heard a moment ago Iran saying that they felt as though the conversations had derailed. The main issue comes down to the uranium enrichment program, or at least top issue here. Is there compromise in that, and what would that look like?
You know, I got to say, as an outside observer, both sides do have zero-sum positions here, particularly if you take both President Trump's comments, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, as well as the recent tweets by the Special Envoy Witkoff, kind of correcting previous comments he had made about low-level enrichment being permitted to continue. In that world, if that position holds, in the short term, there is no zone of possible agreement, or it's very unlikely that there would be a zone of possible agreement. Nonetheless, with sustained pressure, the Islamic Republic sometimes does back down, but those instances are rare, and they do come quite close to conflict.
We're a number of steps away from this, but then another key part of a deal would be verification, right?
Verification is critical before, during, and after, whether you believe in a limited deal, a comprehensive deal, or even if one believes in military strikes. You basically have to, A, have a good blueprint, and you put that blueprint together of what Iran has, what it's stored, what it's using with respect to its declared and even undeclared nuclear sites. And that means being able to actually have intelligence, monitor and verify, but also have the IAEA, this very important international body based in Vienna, get a baseline assessment and really be able to tell where Tehran is going with this program.
Iran's foreign minister will also be meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. We've been sharing some images of him right now in Moscow. What do you make of that and the significance of it at this point in the talks?
I would say don't downplay it. You know, the Russians have been willing in the past to be Iran's lawyer on the international stage, particularly after the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022. At the UNSC, the Russians are blocking, more pressure against the Iranians. At the IAEA Board of Governors, they're blocking more pressure against the regime's nuclear program, fighting back, even when the Europeans are trying to put the spotlight on the regime's continued nuclear escalation. So Russia really is a major diplomatic partner for the Iranians here, and they could be an X factor in the Iranian diplomatic equation if the Iranians come up with some kind of clever or creative new solution to potentially get around U.S. red lines and deadlines.
All right. Thank you for your insight once again, Behnam. Good to see you.